You know what's funny about being a temporal control officer? No one's ever late to your meetings. Well, at least that was true until we met those insufferable humans. Commander Pax-427, reporting on the greatest embarrassment in Chronosphere Alliance history. And trust me, for a civilization that can manipulate time itself, that's saying something. I speak into my neural recorder, pausing to adjust my chrono stabilizer badge. Let me start at the beginning. The Chronosphere Alliance has governed temporal flow across 12 galaxies for over 10 million years. We are the masters of time, the guardians of causality, the traffic cops of the fourth dimension. Every species we've encountered has submitted to our temporal regulation until now. Computer, note the exact time 15:0:00.0000, I say, watching the quantum display flicker. At least someone around here can keep proper time. Our first contact with humans should have been routine. Standard protocol demonstrate our mastery over time, accept their inevitable surrender, integrate them into our perfectly synchronized society. We even planned it for exactly noon Earth Pacific Standard Time, because we're just that precise. The human representatives were 47 minutes late. Traffic was terrible, their lead diplomat, Rachel Chen, said with a shrug. You know how it is. No, we didn't know how it is in a society that can fold time like origami. Traffic doesn't exist. But that was just the beginning of our troubles. High Admiral Zenith, watching through our quantum feed, nearly had an aneurysm. Apply a Class 3 temporal correction, he ordered, his 7 eyes twitching in synchronization. That's when things got weird. See, a Class 3 temporal correction is simple. We adjust local time flow to ensure punctuality. The subject arrives exactly when they should have, in this case, noon sharp. We've done it millions of times across thousands of species. But when Officer Rex 299 activated the correction field around Rachel Chen, she just kept talking about her cat and traffic and something called brunch. Is something supposed to happen, she asked, sipping from her coffee cup. Because if this is the whole show, I've got another meeting at 2. Well, technically 1:30, but you know. No, we didn't know. Run diagnostics, I barked at Rex 299, who was frantically recalibrating his temporal manipulator. Full spectrum. The results came back normal. The field was active. Time was being manipulated. But Rachel Chen remained stubbornly in her own personal time stream, completely unaffected. We tried a Class 2 correction. Then Class 1. We even attempted a full temporal reset, which should have sent her back to the moment of her birth. Nothing. She just kept talking about her cat. Computer, personal note, I mutter. Humans appear to exist in some sort of self-generated chaos field that defies temporal mechanics. Further investigation required. The next week, and yes, we had to start measuring time in human terms because our perfect temporal units kept glitching around them. We observed their civilization more closely. What we found was horrifying. Humans were, universally and inexplicably, immune to temporal manipulation. Worse, they seemed to actively generate temporal distortions through what they called running late procrastination, and the most terrifying of all, hitting snooze. Meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp, I announced to our new human research team. Sure thing, they said in unison, in a tone that somehow conveyed they meant anything but. The next day, Dr. James Cooper arrived at 9:23, claiming his alarm didn't go off. Dr. Sarah Williams wandered in at 9:37, balancing a breakfast sandwich and 3 data pads. Professor Michael Patel made it at 10:05, swearing he'd left with plenty of time but got caught up in a really good podcast. My chrono stabilizer badge started smoking. Computer, final note for Act 1 summary, I say, massaging my temporal lobes. The humans aren't just resistant to our time control. They're actively chaotic temporal entities. And they're spreading. Yesterday, I caught myself hitting snooze. Me, a temporal commander. This is the beginning of something terrible. Or it already happened. Or it's about to happen. I'm not even sure anymore. End report for this section. Time is approximately afternoon, I think. Computer, when did I start talking? Computer, why is my quantum display showing error 404 time not found? Computer, mark time as, oh, whatever. Just put down after coffee. Our research initiative into human temporal resistance was led by Dr. Luna Martinez Selected because she promised to start work promptly at 8 a.m. on Monday. She showed up Wednesday afternoon bringing donuts as a peace offering. I would have been furious, but they were really good donuts. So, Commander Pax-427, she said, powdered sugar dusting her lab coat. Tell me about these time control issues you're having. I activated my holographic display, showing her our standard temporal manipulation procedures. The Chronosphere Alliance maintains perfect time synchronization across 12 galaxies. Every species we've encountered naturally aligns with our temporal fields, except humans. Interesting, she mumbled, checking her phone. Sorry, just got a text from my mom. Dr. Martinez, this is crucial research. We're investigating humanity's inexplicable resistance to fundamental forces of the universe. Yeah, just give me a sec. Mom's asking if I'm coming to dinner Sunday. Our initial tests were chaotic. We attempted to synchronize a group of human volunteers to Galactic Standard Time. The results were documented in what we now call the Tuesday that wouldn't end. Test subject A. Tom Rodriguez was scheduled for synchronization at 9 a.m. He arrived at 9:45, claiming his bus was late. We adjusted local time back 45 minutes. Not only did he fail to arrive at 9 a.m. in the reset timeline, but he somehow showed up even later at 10:15. Dude, he said, you wouldn't believe the morning I've had. First, my coffee maker broke. The temporal paradox created by his increasingly late arrivals across multiple timeline adjustments nearly collapsed our local space-time continuum. High Admiral Zenith watched the readings with all 7 eyes bulging. What in the name of the first clock is happening, he demanded. Dr. Martinez, who was supposed to be analyzing the data, was doodling in her notebook. Oh, that's just how time works around humans. We're kind of flexible about it. The next test subject, Angela Thompson, introduced us to something called fashionably late. This concept caused 3 of our senior temporal physicists to request immediate retirement. But the real breakthrough or breakdown, depending on your perspective, came during our study of human procrastination. We discovered that when humans put things off until the last minute, they generate what we've termed temporal chaos bubbles. Check this out, Dr. Martinez said, pointing to a graph. When a human says, I'll do it later, they're actually creating a localized field of temporal uncertainty. It's like Schrodinger's deadline. The implications were staggering. Humans weren't just resistant to time control, they were actively warping it through sheer force of poor planning. We documented numerous examples. A college student named Jack Bennett somehow completed a 15-hour project in 3 hours by waiting until the night before it was due. Our temporal sensors recorded him briefly existing in multiple timelines simultaneously. A woman named Patricia Lee claimed she was just running to the store real quick and vanished into what we calculated to be a pocket dimension of indefinite shopping time. An office worker, David Chen, said he'd reply to that email tomorrow and accidentally created a recursive time loop that's still going. We get his out-of-office reply every Tuesday at 3:47 p.m. across all temporal planes. The Chronosphere leadership was in panic mode. During an emergency council meeting scheduled for 14 sharp, half the council members showed up late. Citing human time syndrome, High Admiral Zenith arrived 20 minutes late himself, carrying something called a venti triple-shot espresso. Something must be done, he declared, his chrono stabilizer badge flickering erratically. The human's temporal chaos is infectious. He was right. Our perfectly synchronized civilization was showing cracks. Temporal officers were using phrases like in a minute, and just 5 more minutes someone introduced the concept of weekend time to our eternal shift rotations. Dr. Martinez's final report was devastating. Turns out, human-style time perception might actually be more natural. The universe itself operates on probability clouds, not strict determinism. We've been fighting entropy itself with all this time regulation stuff. She submitted this report 3 days late, with a note saying, sorry, got caught up watching cat videos. Computer. I say, watching my quantum display showing 7 different times simultaneously. Note for the record that human temporal chaos appears to be winning. High Admiral Zenith has started wearing something called a casual Friday uniform. And yesterday I caught myself saying time is a social construct. The situation was escalating faster than we could track, which, for a civilization based on perfect temporal measurement, was particularly ironic. But the real crisis? That was yet to come, or it already happened, or it's happening right now. Time is getting pretty fuzzy around here. Computer, end Act 2 recording. And remind me, when was Act 1 again? Actually, never mind. Time for another coffee break. Computer, what day is it? No, wait, don't tell me. I don't think I want to know anymore. The crisis point came when our central chronosphere temporal control system started going haywire. And by haywire, I mean they began operating on what humans call casual guidelines rather than our precise temporal protocols. The first major malfunction occurred at our temporal synchronization hub on Proxima Station. The master clock started displaying messages like around 3-ish, and nearly Thursday our chief engineer, Rex 299, almost had a nervous breakdown. "This is impossible," he shouted, banging on the quantum display. "The system is asking me if I want to hit snooze." Across the Alliance, the temporal virus of human unpunctuality spread like wildfire. Ships arrived at space stations, fashionably late planetary rotations developed flex time. The Galactic Senate's perpetually precise millennium-long schedule suddenly included coffee breaks and long weekends. High Admiral Zenith called an emergency meeting of the Alliance leadership. The meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m. sharp. Here's how it actually went. 10, no one present. 10:15, 2 junior officers arrive, looking embarrassed. 10:30, High Admiral Zenith walks in wearing casual attire. 10:45, half the council connects via quantum link, citing traffic. 11, someone suggests ordering pizza. "Listen up, everyone," Zenith announced, his chrono stabilizer badge now repurposed as a coffee cup holder. "We need to contain this temporal anomaly before." "Hey, is that pepperoni?" The council's solution was dramatic quarantine Earth and its chaotic temporal influence. We mobilized our most advanced time-warping ships, preparing to isolate the entire Sol system in a bubble of regulated time. The quarantine attempt went about as well as telling a human, "This will only take a minute." Our ships arrived at the designated coordinates at 7 different about thens. The temporal containment field hiccuped, burped, and somehow created a time loop where Tuesday afternoon lasted for what felt like 3 weeks. That's when Dr. Luna Martinez, who showed up halfway through the quarantine attempt with a half-eaten sandwich, made the breakthrough discovery. "Look at these readings," she said, pointing to a graph that looked suspiciously like a doodle of a cat. "The more we try to impose rigid time control, the more unstable local space-time becomes. But around humans, their chaos actually creates stability." "That's absurd," I protested, checking my watch, which now displayed time as a human construct in blinking letters. "Think about it," she continued. "The universe itself operates on quantum uncertainty. By trying to regiment time, we're fighting against cosmic entropy. Humans, with their creative lateness and fluid schedules, are actually in harmony with the universe's natural state." The evidence was undeniable. In regions where human time management had taken hold, temporal paradoxes decreased by 73%. Reality itself seemed more stable, even if our schedules weren't. The final proof came during what was supposed to be our last-ditch effort to restore temporal order. We planned to reset the entire sector to Galactic Standard Time using our most powerful temporal manipulators. The reset was scheduled for exactly noon. The technicians arrived late. The power-up sequence got delayed. Someone had to run to the bathroom. 3 different people said, "Let's give it 5 more minutes." And in that chaos, in that beautiful mess of imperfect timing and casual delays, our sensors recorded the most stable temporal readings we'd seen in millions of years. High Admiral Zenith, now wearing something called sweatpants and holding his 7th cup of coffee, made the historic announcement. "The Chronosphere Alliance hereby acknowledges that time is like whatever, man. Meeting adjourned. Anyone up for brunch?" The relief across 12 galaxies was palpable. Species that had struggled under our rigid temporal control flourished in the new era of flexible scheduling. Productivity actually increased when we introduced concepts like work-life balance and taking your time. "Computer," I say, not even bothering to check which time stream I'm in anymore. Final note for Act 3: the humans didn't defeat our time control through superior technology or military might. They defeated it by simply refusing to acknowledge its power over them. Also, note to self: I'm late for dinner. Computer, begin final entry. No timestamp needed. We both know that's pointless now. 6 months or maybe 6 years, who's keeping track anymore? After the great human time crisis, the Chronosphere Alliance has undergone what humans call a total vibe shift. Our once rigid temporal control centers have been retrofitted with comfortable lounges and coffee machines. The perpetually precise quantum time displays now show helpful messages like "nearly lunchtime and you've got plenty of time. Don't stress." High Admiral Zenith, wearing his signature Hawaiian shirt Friday attire despite it being Tuesday, gave a speech last week about our civilization's transformation. He was 20 minutes late to the podium, and nobody cared. "We thought we were the masters of time," he said, sipping from a mug that read time as an illusion. "Lunchtime doubly so, turns out. We were just really good at making ourselves miserable." The integration of human temporal patterns has revolutionized galactic society. Meetings now have this brilliant thing called buffer time. Spaceships operate on flexible departure windows. We've even introduced a revolutionary concept called running early. Though most species, including humans, still treat this as a purely theoretical construct. As for me, well, you're probably wondering how a former temporal control commander is handling this new era of chronological casualness. Yesterday I was late to my own temporal physics lecture. Instead of having a meltdown, I brought donuts for the class. We had a great discussion about how time is more of a suggestion than a rule. My chronostabilizer badge now serves as an excellent paperweight. Dr. Luna Martinez runs our new department of temporal flexibility. She shows up to work whenever inspiration strikes, and somehow gets more done than anyone else. Her latest research paper was titled, "Why Just 5 More Minutes is a Legitimate Temporal Measurement." It was submitted 3 weeks late and won multiple awards. The humans, naturally, find our transformation hilarious. Rachel Chen, now our chief advisory on temporal relaxation, just smiles and says, "Told you so," whenever we discover another benefit of their laid-back approach to time. Computer, final observation for the historical record, I say, propping my feet up on my desk. The humans didn't just defeat our time control, they freed us from it. In their chaotic relationship with time, they discovered a deeper truth about the universe. Time is not a strict progression of cause to effect, but rather a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. End report. End timestamp. No, actually, you know what? Leave it open-ended. Like a good party, this story shouldn't have a strict end time. P.S. If anyone from Temporal Archives is reading this, sorry it's late. Blame the humans. Also, there might be pizza in the break room. No promises on which timeline, though.